What Lonzo Thinks is a free-flowing discussion where you get to hear me talk about everything from movies, music, sports, television, pop culture, politics, you name it. If it's happening, I'm going to speak on it. Alright, Controversy is PRiNCE's fourth studio album and fourth in my series of PRiNCE albums that I will be reviewing from the very first one to his very last studio album. Controversy was released on October 14th, 1981, and it peaked at 21 on the Billboard Top 200 album charts, and it made it to number 3 on the R&B album charts. It spawned 2 hit singles, Controversy, which was a number 3 hit on the R&B chart, and Let's Work, which was a number 9 hit on the R&B chart. Controversy and Let's Work didn't do as well on the pop charts, hitting at number 70 and number 104 respectively. Overall, the album was a critical and financial success. It went platinum, selling over 1 million copies to date. Now, in my series of PRiNCE reviews, I will generally talk about every song on the album, give my brief snapshot opinion of each song, and then kind of wrap it up as I go from there. So the first track on the album is Controversy, which is the title track, of course, and it is a searing rock R&B piece that really, for the first time, you hear PRiNCE talking about some things outside of relationships and sex. He's more into current events, politics, also sex as well, but he is becoming a more worldly artist at this time, as opposed to his first 3 albums, which really more self-centered and dealt more in relationships. So this once again shows PRiNCE's maturation as an artist, where he is now taking a worldview and getting a better definition of his place in the world from a musical standpoint, and how what he says does really impacts his fans and his listeners, and how it could open up a wider audience for him if he delves into deeper, more diverse subject matter, as well as keeping it funky at the same time. So Controversy had a lot of weight on his shoulders, as it had to kind of navigate through all these different levels. It's got to be a hit song. It's the lead single from the album. It's the title track. You're opening up yourself to a new audience. You want to be more socially conscious, and you still want it to entertain and have that funky drive to it. So Controversy definitely had a lot of weight on his shoulder, and great for him. The song is tremendous. It did exactly what he wanted it to do, and at the same time, it was a fun song as well that you could dance to. And the subject matter of the song, it was pretty controversial for its time, because near the end of the song, he recites the Lord's Prayer, which I'm sure some religious people out there had a lot of trouble with. Me, really, I didn't know the Lord's Prayer until I heard PRiNCE say it. I never knew it from beginning to end. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I never knew the Lord's Prayer until he taught it to me. So I know it's kind of shameful to say that, but fact is, that's the fact. So the song is, I think Controversy is the best song on the album. It did great, and it's one of those songs that you can still listen to today and still nod your head to. And he continued to play that song throughout his career and his concerts, unlike some other songs that he kind of dropped by the wayside as his catalog grew. But Controversy would always turn up in his live performances here and there, especially that gangsta ass guitar riff. Don't. Oh wow. Okay, next up is Sexuality. Now, Sexuality is one of my favorite Dirty PRiNCE songs, where of course he's talking about just that, sexuality, and it's a great segue from Controversy back into his nasty stuff. And I think this was a great choice to have this song follow up Controversy, because now he's opening himself up to his audience, but then he's going back to his roots as well, which is the funky and nasty stuff that his core fans are also clamoring for. So he took care of everybody really in those first 2 songs. And Sexuality might not be one of his most popular songs, but I think around the hardcore PRiNCE fans, it has a special place in our hearts. because the song is funky, it's dirty, it's nasty, and it gives us what we had come to expect from Prince, especially at that time. He says, "Sexuality is all I want to be. Sexuality, let your body be free." So it is exactly what he's saying. He's opening himself up to the world, and also he wants this sexual revolution to follow him as he opens up and becomes more diverse. And next is "Do Me Baby," which is the first of Prince's power ballads that he became so famous for. In his previous albums, he's always had ballads, but this is a power ballad, just slow jam that you could lay down and just groove with your girl to. And it is one of his best slow jams ever. It's on a short list of his top slow jams ever, along with "International Lover," "Scandalous," "Adore," songs of that ilk. And "Do Me Baby" was a huge hit on the R&B side. It was never released as a single, but it got played a lot on R&B stations. I remember growing up during this time that "Do Me Baby" was the jam. Obviously, I was very young at this time, so I didn't have any girlfriends to really test it on. But when I became old enough to test it on girls, damn it, it worked. Next up is "Private Joy." The "Private Joy" is more of a filler type song, and of the songs on the album is one of the few that you can kind of just skip over. Not saying it's not good, it's just really kind of nondescript, and he's basically just talking about. I think he's talking about masturbation, "Private Joy," "Play with My Toy." He's advocating some self-satisfaction there, and as a child listening to this, I never really understood or really cared to understand what he was really getting at with this, because Joy to me was always a girl named Joy, but as an adult, I know he wasn't talking about some chick named Joy. He was talking about his own private joy with his hand. "Ronnie Talk to Russia" is another song that it's filler, and it's something that you can really kind of pass over. But for its time, it was a very relevant song because Ronald Reagan was president at the time, and there was all this talk of relations with Russia and the Cold War and possible nuclear war. So he's imploring his president to talk to Russia before you blow up the world. So it's a socially conscious and relevant song, but not something that if you're trying to groove and jam to, you're not going to groove and jam to it, because that's not the purpose of this song. This is his political commentary and his appeal to our conservative president, our Republican president, to get off his ass and do something before we blow up the world. And there are more important things than power. You need to consolidate that power and open yourself up to relations with another superpower in the world that was threatening our life and liberty as well. So it's a good song, just not something that I think, especially is dated, is not something you're going to groove on today, because Ronald Reagan is no longer president. He's dead, and the Cold War is over, so it's no longer relevant. But as a filler song on this album, it serves its purpose, especially the overall theme of the album. And I always listen to it whenever I'm listening to this album. I don't skip over it, but if you needed to skip over something, it would be Ronnie Talk to Russia, followed up by "Private Joy." And the next track is "Let's Work," which is another funky track. It's a dance tune. It's strictly a club banger. It's not really about anything other than just, a nice party song with some sexual innuendo. Doesn't mean it's not great. It's an awesome party jam that you can definitely dance to. And he didn't play it much live. At least I didn't really hear him do it live a whole lot. So it's not a song that really held up, I guess, for him. But the long version of it is tremendous. The song is great no matter what, but the long version is really, really good, and I highly recommend it. And it's something you can really bang in your car as well. And it's a good follow-up to Head. I think it's a good companion piece with Head. So when I put together a mixtape, I usually follow up Head with Let's Work. Annie Christian, once again, is a very divisive song, and it's a filler type song as well that you could possibly skip over, but I love Annie Christian. And I love the play on words. Annie Christian, Annie Christ, until you're crucified, I live my life in taxi cabs. I think for the watchdogs, the religious zealots out there who try to condemn everything that comes out in pop culture, is a great song for them to kind of latch on to and say, hey, look, we told you this song ain't shit. He ain't shit. But I guess because anti-Christian, you're thinking anti-Christian, anti-Christ, it's blasphemous, it's secular. And really, he was talking about something much more deeper than that, because he's talking about relevant social issues of that time, most notably the Atlanta child murders. Because he's speaking of anti-Christian as moving to Atlanta and buying a blue car, killed black children, and what's fair is fair. You try and say you're crazy, everybody say electric chair. So he's basically depicting anti-Christian as this entity that is poisoning our world. So it's a very relevant song. It's dated now and it doesn't hold up, but for its time, it's very relevant. And not only that, it's a good song to listen to. And the guitar in the song is great as well. It's more of a new wave type feel to it. Nothing wrong with this song at all. It's not something you're gonna dance to. And if you're not a huge Prince fan, you can skip it. And the final song on the album is Jack You Off. Need I say more? It's really nasty. It's a great song. Jack You Off. The title speaks for itself. There's really not a whole lot I can say about that, other than the fact that I love it. I listen to it a lot. And as a child, once again, hearing him talk about things like this, you can kind of just laugh to yourself and snicker and feel like you're getting away with something. But once again, it's another song that doesn't hold up. But in the context of this particular album, it works, and it's a great close to the album itself. Now, on the whole, the Controversy album is not highly regarded as a masterpiece or a work of an artist on the come up. It's kind of like a forgotten album. I think, along with For You, it might be the second most forgotten album from Prince's early stage. The first quarter of his career is one of the albums that really doesn't get the kind of recognition it deserves. It has 3 very strong songs on it: Controversy, Sexuality, Do Me Baby. So the first 3 songs on the album are really what really props it up. And Let's Work, the second half of the album, is a great party jam that holds up as well. So four of the, I think it's 8 songs on the album. So 4 of the 8 songs are very, very, very high quality. All the songs are great. But when 50% of your album is dope, then you're doing something. So if you're going to pass over one of his albums, this might be the one to pass over. But don't pass over those singles. Those 4 songs: Controversy, Sexuality, Do Me Baby, and Let's Work. Jack You Off and Anti-Christian, they are passable as well, as far as songs that still can really move you today. Private Joy and Ronnie Talk to Russia are the ones that if you're gonna skip out on them, you can skip out on those and still get a cohesive feel from the album. And that's my take on Controversy. You have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up. WhatLonzoThinks@gmail.com, on Twitter @WhatLonzoThinks. Hit me up on Patreon. Drop some loot on me. I don't care if it's a dime, a nickel, a penny. Break me off a little bit. Patreon. You have any questions, comments, concerns? Please comment below. Hit me up. I will respond. I get a lot of emails, which is kind of surprising. I do appreciate people listening and subscribing and sending me emails. So it feels great to know that people are listening to what I have to say and offering their opinions. And what I'm going to do once I gather up enough relevant emails is actually do a mailbag for one of my shows and kind of just answer those questions directly, and to let you know that I am listening and I do hear your comments. So I do read your comments and I will respond to them as well. So once again, Controversy in my Prince series. Next up, 1999. But until then, bye.